Hi, hey, hello, welcome to a new video. My name is Desiree, and today I'm sharing an excerpt from my new blog post, Pride Starved My Business, Confessions of a Christian Small Business Owner. As you watch me create this new painting from start to finish, plus package another painting that actually inspired this topic, I hope that what I share in today's video will bring insight, encouragement, and motivate you, not only as a possible business owner, but in your overall lifestyle, especially if you're a Christ follower. So, are you ready to begin? Let's go. Pride Starved My Business, Confessions of a Christian Small Business Owner by desirae.ofori. Since the very beginning, my art business has been on a roller coaster. 1 minute we're hot, the next minute we're not. 1 minute I'm like, yep, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And the next minute, I'm like, we should be so much further along by now. Maybe it's time to give up. This year has been the worst year of my small business career, and I've been begging God for answers. He has given me some answers over the past few years and even the past few months, but the most recent revelation made me feel so ashamed, convicted, and eager to make things right, ASAP. So, what happened? Well, let me back up so you have a better understanding of how we got here. My earliest memory of my small business was somewhere around 2009. At the time, it was a fun, creative outlet that I did on the side. I remember daydreaming of the day that I'd be able to run Decalease full time. Years later, after struggling immensely with untreated depression and anxiety, I decided to leave my careers in the mental health and case management field. And on January 1st, 2018, I officially started life as a full-time entrepreneur. In the beginning, I saw the potential success of Decalease as an escape from the pressures of my past career, the expansion of my creative side, growing my mom lifestyle blog, and a way to help generate income for my family. After all, we had just bought a new home less than a year before, and on my last day of work, I found out I was nearly 2 months pregnant with our second child. To leave my stable job was a bold faith move, especially since Decalease nor my blog were generating any consistent or livable income. I hung on to my faith in God like a giant fish on an invisible fishing line. Most days, it didn't look or feel like much to hold on to, but I did while encouraging others to do the same. It's only by God's grace that we survived. In the first 2 years, I was able to make decent sales, received custom orders, and even presented at my first major art show in Miami. I was slowly but surely making progress. I also had one of my paintings represented in a local art gallery. I was so proud. It was probably around year 3, though, that I thought I should be much further along than I was. I was getting frustrated with the drastic ebbs and flows of business. Eventually, I convinced my husband to let me hire an art business coach that I could barely afford. And even after all that, I still second-guessed hundreds of times if Decalease was on the right path or worth keeping alive. My biggest driving force has been the patient support of my husband, Sam, and this unshakable inner feeling to not give up. Many times it feels like an alarm yelling, "You better not give up. We are almost there." Then came 2023, a surprisingly fruitful year of sales with many unique opportunities to serve the community through art. At the end of the year, I felt like this is it. We're finally on our way up. Spoiler alert, that didn't last long at all. As I said in the beginning, 2024 has been the absolute hardest. The website sales have come to a painfully slow drip. The word of mouth recommendations that lead to opportunities have come to a complete halt. And although it has been an honor and blessing to be a stay-at-home mom, the tug to exchange it for a full-time corporate job grows stronger and stronger. Time and again, I couldn't help but ask God, what am I missing? What am I supposed to learn in this season? I feel like it's staring me right in the face, and I just can't see it. Is it because Decalease doesn't solve a valuable problem? Is it because I'm not consistent on social media? Is it because I kept pivoting in what my business offered? Are people tired of me and my art? Am I too expensive? Or am I too cheap? All of these thoughts could be true, but I couldn't shake that I was still missing the main point. This August, with zero sales and our home budget getting tighter and tighter, I began to feel more overwhelmed than usual over our financial future. While journaling and preparing to read the Bible last week, I wrote this prayer. Lord, I can't help but feel like this predicament of financial decline is my fault and that I have to do something about it. But I don't know what else to do outside of finding a mediocre job part-time. Continue to guide me on the next step, whatever opportunity I'm not seeing or going after. Please help my mind to see and change my heart if I'm too proud to do something that would help us. Then I continued on my reading plan and read Proverbs 3. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 8 talks about trusting in the Lord with all your heart, not leaning on your own understanding or trying to be wise in your own eyes. I already knew this and was practicing this, but verse 27 stopped me in my tracks. It reads, "When it is in your power, don't withhold good from the one to whom it belongs. Don't say to your neighbor, 'Go away, come back later, I'll give it tomorrow,' when it's there with you." Proverbs chapter 3, verse 27. Immediately, I knew what I needed to do. I turned around in my chair and saw the painting I did for a church that hired me back in February. They hired me to do a live painting for their Black History and Church Appreciation Night. At the end of my paid time, I told them they could have the painting for an additional charge. The host said that she misunderstood the arrangement but had already reached their limit. She would try to get back with me later on. I saw the disappointment on her face, but pride got the best of me. Just a month before, I was being paid much more for art services. So what I charged this church was a deal, right? I thought I deserved to be paid additional for the finished painting, even though I wasn't clear about that when we initially discussed the services. For the size of the canvas, materials, travel, and the time crunch it required to complete a live painting, I honestly thought I deserved more. Frankly, I wanted more. And for any other art business, sure, these thoughts could be justified, but not in this instance, not for Decalise, and not for me. For months, every time I saw that painting, I was reminded that it didn't belong to me. It should be gifted to them. But I shrugged it off as me being soft. I couldn't even bring myself to photograph it and list it for sale on my website or social media. So it sat tucked away in my office with other unfinished and unsold artwork. So when I turned around after reading Proverbs 3, verse 27, and saw the painting, God spoke to my heart loud and clear. I felt convicted and embarrassed. He said that painting did not belong to me, not even to keep hostage for future payment. It was meant for that church. Doing that live painting wasn't a simple business-to-business transaction. It was a ministry-to-ministry collaboration. I was too prideful and greedy to recognize that important fact from the start, from the moment they reached out to me. And usually, my discernment is on point. However, that night, it was blindsided by pride. After that revelation, I looked back over my financials for the year and realized that was the night that everything changed. After that event, everything went completely downhill for sales and opportunities. Let me break it down for you. The very next month, in March, I attempted twice to launch a new collection I worked on for months. When I was finally able to release the collection, it completely flopped. Not one sale from the collection or for that month period. And it didn't end there. At the end of the month, I was pre-scheduled to sit on a panel to speak about being a woman in business for a local women's junior league. They also allowed me to bring my art and products to sell. But the day before the event, I was so sick and in so much pain that I had to email and cancel. Talk about disappointment and embarrassment. But thankfully, they were gracious and understanding. However, in the following few months, I never received another request from anyone for me, my art, or my business. I continued to paint, create, and launch new collections. In most months, I made $0, with the highest paying month being $39.50 before fees. After this embarrassing yet humbling revelation, God showed me that Decalee's art studio is a ministry. I could not hoard the business or my gifts as if they belonged solely to me. It all belonged to God. I need to be a better steward of them and trust that God will provide the exposure, opportunities, and revenue to keep it going and help provide for my family. It was God who was providing all of that all along. When you take care of what's important to God, He'll take care of what's important to you. God then led me to read Haggai chapter 1 and 2. God tells the Jews that because his house, the temple, still lay in ruins, while each of them was busy building their own home, nothing they did to succeed or make progress would work. Even if the methods worked before, it would no longer work because he stopped the flow of blessings. When they refocused on building his house, only then did he reopen the flow of blessings. And guess what? I was like the Jews in that story. I was so caught up in my way of doing things, building my brand, my reputation, and trying to fill my pockets, that time and again I had neglected what was important. My priorities for this business as a Christian have been way off, and in turn, God cut my business off. Graciously, my innocent children do not feel the impact of my lack or my mistake. God continues to show up for my family and provide for us in supernatural ways. He is faithful to be sure his children have what they need. For years, I've been straddling the fence on if I was a secular business who made and offered inspirational items, or if I was a 100% faith-based business who made and offered things that helped to turn people, especially women, towards God. Was I working for my own glory or for God's glory? The answer is clear. Working for myself keeps the faucet closed. Working for God keeps the faucet open. Why would I continue to quench the flow of living water? I am 100% on who I serve and where I stand in my life when it comes to God. Why should my business be any different? So if you're a business owner and a Christ follower, I encourage you. Don't just say God is my CEO and continue to run your business by what you think is best or in your limited understanding. Let God be glorified in all you do. Run your business as though you are working directly for God and in collaboration with God. Operate your business not out of greed or a scarcity mindset. Those fears of needing more, grinding, hoarding, and finding any way to collect a dime for fear of not having enough do not belong in a Christian business. Your business, customers, and clients are not your source. God is. And when we stay connected to the source, we'll have everything we need when we need it and before we know we do. He sees and knows all. We need to treat our business as a ministry. That means conducting ourselves with respect for God while operating with a mind of integrity, honor, respect, joy, and love. Keep in mind the fruits of the Spirit found in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23. Be compassionate and sensitive to the voice of God when interacting with people, including employees and clientele. Ask God to give you discernment through every process, what trends to follow or even which ones to start. Let Him be your ultimate business coach. Of course, gain wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on how to run an effective business, but always keep God at the forefront in your final decisions. God also reminded me of one more Bible study and example. In 2 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 9 through 15, the prophet Obed tells the Israelites how upset God was about them doing more than they were supposed to during a war, including taking captives they were not told to take. Not only did God convict them of this, but he told them to return the captives. Here is the part of the story I love and believe serves as a great example of how to right a wrong. Verse 15 says, "Then the men who were designated by name took charge of the captives and provided clothes for their naked ones from the plunder. They clothed them, gave them sandals, food, and drink, dressed their wounds, and provided donkeys for all the feeble. The Israelites brought them to Jericho, the city of palms, among their brothers. Then they returned to Samaria." Again, that's 2 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 15. Not only did the men return the captives, but they cared for them and returned them better than how they were taken. The heart and way the captives were returned was something I wanted to model, and so that's what I did. I added a couple extra details, varnished and packaged the painting like a gift. I also included a card sharing what God placed on my heart, plus a couple of freebies. I treated and packaged the painting as though it was being gifted to a customer whom I wanted to impress and show my deep appreciation for. It's something that I would do anyway for any of my customers. But I wanted to be respectful and honorable in the way that I returned this gift. And so that's what I did. I emailed the pastor's wife, who also happened to be the host from the event, and returned the painting a few days later. She was glad to hear from me and grateful to receive the gift. I don't know if my repentance and heart of humility will reopen God's faucet anytime soon over Decalis. However, I do know I heard the heart of God, not only for me, but also for the ministry the painting was for. As a steward of my business, my mission is to always remember that Decalis Art Studio is not just a business. It is a ministry. My current mission is to create colorful art, lifestyle products, and Christian resources that infuse a message of faith, hope, and confidence that inspires women from the inside out. I want to use Decalis as a tool to help fellow women grow in their faith and affirm their identity in God. Remember, obedience is better than sacrifice. And boy, I feel like I've sacrificed nearly more than I could ever bear. But God is faithful to provide opportunities and reminders for us that return our eyes and hearts back to Him. In all you do, stay connected to God. He's got you and your business covered. Be blessed.